So I think we kind of really touched on how important the title company is. So let's do these numbers, right? How many properties you think was sold? Well, what's the percentage of the properties that sold in the U.S. go to a title company roughly? What would you say? What would you guys say? I ain't looked the numbers up, so I'm not trying to trick you or nothing. But how many you say? And what's the percentage of people properties that's closed go to a title company roughly?
I would say
90%.
99.
I would say 99 because that's who records the title.
Yeah,
at the county. I don't know any other way. I don't like to speak on all be all, but shoot.
Well,
I didn't know a closing attorney would close on Saturday until I asked.
Right.
That's true. That's true. You got closing attorneys out there too. That's so
right.
true.
That's what I was gonna say is that there's title states and there's attorney states, right?
Yeah, I'm an attorney state. Yeah.
Right. So you may have a closing attorney as opposed to a title company, right? So again, it's very likely. Well, my state is title. I'm a title state, and Atlanta's a title. I mean, Alabama's a title state too. So it just depends on the state. But
yeah, we should have hit on that beforehand, though, Sean. That there's a difference. That all states don't have like a title agent, and we should have hit on that a long time ago. Because sometimes in certain states you have a real estate attorney working in concert with a title agent. So in my state, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we definitely need to backtrack on that for anybody crossing the lines. Because I just realized unless you guys did when I stepped away.
No.
Okay. All right. So like Atlanta, like you said, Georgia is a closing attorney. Alabama is a title agent. So basically, from my knowledge, the closing attorney in my state does everything that a title agency does.
Correct.
Basically, short and long. And then in a title agent state, there's a title agent does certain roles about the title search and everything dealing with title. And the closing attorney, your real estate attorney, does everything with like contracts. How they work together, I'm not typically on those phone calls, so maybe you guys can chime in together. Chime in.
Well, most companies have closing attorneys involved in them.
Okay.
A lot of them have closing attorneys, and it's in the same office.
Gotcha.
But most of the time, they do everything. They have everything there. There's nothing that they have to, outsource. Everything's probably in-house, right? So yeah, there's closing.
Yeah, but I definitely work with certain states and transactions where they weren't where like definitely wasn't the same entity or the same company at all. Like it's all like I guess it's how they want to do it. How they want to slice the pie, join or don't join. It's just not saying it's impossible, but definitely there's two separate professionals in a title state, and then the closing attorney states you will be dealing with the closing attorney.
Here's one thing that's important that I want to mention too, is that and some new wholesalers or people involved in the investing arena believe that when you send something to title to close, you're not the only one. Title companies that all they do is closings. So it's so critical to be on top of your you gotta be, because again, they do 100 to a day maybe. So you may be on the bottom of the bet, so it's very important to just check in. Hey, what's going on? How did the title come back yet? Things of that nature. No, ask those questions, because again, you leaving it to them, they have so much that they do. All they do is closings, right? So you want to make sure that you're at least, visible, that they see that you are really aggressive in the process.
Mainly because typically dead deals are quiet deals. Typically, that's the numbers they look at. Like if I'm not hearing from this buyer, the seller, after requesting things for a couple days, I'm not going to chase them for days and days, asking them to send in their articles of organization for their closing, or any other documentation. So definitely be involved, especially you realtors out there.
Yeah.
So Jay, let me just add something here because your original question was like, what's the percentage of transactions that use title insurance? And I think it's less than what we would think. And for this reason, for a couple of reasons. One is there's a lot of private sales that go on between people that, don't know that they need title insurance. And yeah, I see it fairly frequently where, father selling the house to his son or a piece of property to his son, and they just execute a deed. They run down to the recorder's office and have it recorded. There's no title insurance on anything like that. The other thing I see from time to time is that when a county does a tax foreclosure on a house, and then they resell that house to somebody else, the county's not going to request a title policy. They're not going to pay for a title policy. So there's a transaction that occurs when there is no title policy issued on that. And sometimes the people who buy that property have trouble reselling it because there's no existing title policy on it. And so there's probably a lot more transactions that go on out there that are just, either by people who just don't know better, or they're a private family situation, or there's some sort of municipality or county entity involved that there's a deed that records that transfers title, but there's no associated title policy that gets issued at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of people like.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so true. But there's still that number is pretty high that would go to a title company.
Yeah, what was the number you have? What was the number?
You said 99.
99. We had a person just reach out to us. He said it was 97. I think he said.
97.
He said 97.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty high. I would say with the new information, because I forgot about it. We have done a couple deals like that. So I would say like 90, 95, 95%.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Go that route or whatever.
And to me, the interesting question is if there's 95, 97, 99% of the transactions have title insurance issued on that, how many times are you aware of an actual claim, a title insurance claim being executed? I mean, how often does that happen?
I've never heard of one actually come back and say they were wrong about the title, the liens that need to be cleared off and that weren't taken care of, or exceptions that need to be. Not to my knowledge, but like I said, look, end all be all. So, how many of you guys heard of any point?
I haven't heard any, but I'm pretty sure it happens though.
It has to happen. Yeah. It's like that's why they exist, because it's the worst scenario ever. Like, you can't even imagine what.
And if they have to pay a claim, it's a pretty big dollar number too. So so that's why they have. I know of one situation that just recently happened in the position that I have during my day job. We do first mortgages, but then oftentimes there's some delinquent property taxes that occur outside the first mortgage, and then a property sale happens. And what we had was a title insurance company that issued a title policy, but they sent the payoff to the county to pay off the delinquent taxes. And in this situation, the Department of Revenue, but we did not get paid off. They didn't even request a payoff statement from us. And so our lien still exists. And so they're having to pay a title claim to pay us off because the escrow folks just messed up, didn't get a title, a payoff quote from us. And so, that's going to be like a $300,000 or $400,000 claim that they're going to have.
Wow.
To pay. So, I mean, if they miss one, that's big money. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.